Good morning, Nashville. How's the volume? Everyone can hear? All right, day 3, everyone made it. Congrats, we're here. As the intro stated, my name is David Haidativ. I am the Enterprise AE on the DSO team over at SuperDial, actually the second sales hire at the company. And I'm here to talk to you today about essentially 3 fun acronyms that I'm gonna repeat kind of over and over again, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that, but AI, RCM, and ROI, right? Utilizing AI within the RCM process to achieve a compelling ROI. Hence the title of the slides, AI as the golden ticket. So before we get into all the fun details there, just kind of want to take some time, take some space and tell you who I am, and who we are. So, the point kind of drives home and our story is made a little, clear there. I actually grew up in dental, so to speak. My dad actually owns one of the larger IT MSPs out on Long Island. So I grew up, installing Open Dental locally on old Dell PowerEdge servers and having to answer, tech support calls after my, 4th grade piano lessons. So, I'm sort of like, in the matrix. I was born in the matrix of the dental and DSO space. But I've had a number of, sales and biz dev stints at, various dental orgs. I was on the sales team at Quip, the fun millennial toothbrush company. It was the number 1 rep at Patient Pop, which then became Tebra. And I actually, in 2023, helped to co-found and lead the go-to-market for a different kind of voice AI company. So, all that kind of leads into SuperDial, which has their origins actually as a revenue cycle management company. The 2 co-founders, Sam and Harrison, ex-Stanford grads, began in that space, essentially managing RCM on behalf of clients, until they got to the point of having to make the outbound dials to these payer orgs, and they realized, whoa, this is a way more annoying problem to solve. Let's go ahead and do that. So essentially, the company had a rebrand from SuperBill over to SuperDial. Here we are a couple years later. We have a Series A funding. We serve dozens of orgs, including some, very good DSOs, including some DSOs that are, at this conference today. So what does SuperDial do? Just to put, a broad kind of, stroke on this, we design bespoke voice AI agents for our customers for the express purpose of making outbound dials to insurance companies. So we noticed that there's a large issue today with staffing, with insurance denials, with just lots of overhead, both on a payroll cost basis and also a cost efficiency basis for DSOs to run their practice, where denials are increasing, wages are going up, and the math is just not mathing. So we saw an opportunity there to kind of alleviate the staff, whether it's trusted front office staff within every office making these calls sort of in between patients, or a dedicated call center resource, either onshore or offshore. We found that when you have AI make the dials instead, you get the same results, you get all the updates on the claim, you get the same benefits, you get the same credentialing, status follow-ups at a fraction of the cost. Hence, that's the solution that we are providing to DSOs today and leaders in this space to allow them to not have to depend on scaling up linearly, right? So every time you want to see more patients, acquire new locations, there's a linear fixed cost, but rather with the economies of scale that AI can unlock, you're now able to scale exponentially. So it's no industry secret that these calls are very, very routine, but time consuming. So what essentially this unlocks in terms of us for an opportunity is to meet with every single customer on a one-on-one basis. And like the previous speaker said, if you've seen one DSO, you've seen one DSO. And I call them kind of like snowflakes, right? They're all different in a way. Some of them have issues with claims. Some of them have a backlog. Some of them have, issues with certain payers and then verifying eligibility. So we essentially consult with each DSO, each customer that we have on a one-on-one basis and understand what their specific pain points are, right? Is it a problem where they're bringing on too many providers too fast and they're not getting the enrollments done in time? Is there a massive AR backlog that they just cannot seem to solve? And then we design a pilot that usually lasts 1 to 2 months, where we build a bespoke agent that's based on their existing SOPs, their scripts, and even call recordings of their staff making these outbound dials to insurance companies. Then we deploy them, go over the results, iterate them, and then once we demonstrate that we can get the same results back from these insurance companies, we then do what's called, and what we talked about in the next talk, a forward deployed integration, where we essentially are able to write back all the results that we've gotten from these insurance conversations into the PMSs and any other systems that these DSOs are utilizing. So this has, for some customers, returned a 50 to 300% ROI when factoring in the savings on payroll cost, as well as the increased efficiency in getting claims paid out on time. So I've been talking a lot about claims, but you can deploy these agents for essentially any type of outbound conversation to an insurance company. VOBs, I would say, are the second most common use case for DSOs, but also credentialing and enrollment follow-up calls. We've seen those being utilized as well. One of our favorite DSO customers is actually West Coast Dental, who I believe Lionel is here in the building. They had a problem where they had 70,000 claims in their backlog, which they did not have insight into the status of. And they tried a few different things and nothing was really, kind of solving that issue. They came to us and we were able to clear out that 70,000 claim backlog in short order, which helped them to significantly, reduce, this pressure and offset the cost of 5 full-time hires. So that's what we helped avoid for them, is additional headcount of 5 FTEs. Another DSO that we love is Pearl Street. Very similar, they're using us right now for credentialing and claims, offsetting the need to bring on additional FTEs into the system here. Now, in terms of the framework for the ROI for DSOs, again, we really create a bespoke presentation for each and every customer that we encounter, where we identify the problems that they're having now today, whether that problem is an inability to scale past their current team, whether that problem is an issue with data quality or integrity, whatever the RCM bottleneck is that's preventing them from growing and scaling, is what we essentially create in terms of our ROI argument. And then we measure success through a number of pilots, iterations, and then quarterly check-ins and reports. And we also provide this as a service that our partners can use. So there's lots of other RCM folks in this space. One example that we'll have to tote is Inside Desk. So Inside Desk actually services a large number of DSOs, and they have a solution in their dashboard that actually can place an outbound dial to follow up on claim statuses, and that's our solution. They white labeled SuperDial, and that's called Inside Dial. So we're all about meeting, the customers and the DSOs where they are at their pain points, whether it's something that they deploy for one office, for their entire HQ, or as a point solution within an existing partner of theirs that's trusted. And we imagine a future here where DSO executives are not having to pay hundreds of employees valuable US wage dollars to sit on hold time with Cigna and Delta, and instead can offset all that painful cost to an AI and have their team focus on more what we would call top of license work that actually moves the needle in a meaningful way for the rest of the operation, for the rest of the practice. If anybody would like to hear this voice bot in action, we have demos of claims, VOBs, credentialing, whatever you want over there at the desk, and we're here till 5 p.m. today, so feel free to stop on by or schedule a demo. But I would also love to take questions if that's allowed.